Hello everyone and welcome to the review of Mortal Kombat 2. Now this particular version of the game is actually from Midway Arcade Treasures 2 courtesy of the PlayStation 2 console. So what you're seeing is basically an arcade perfect version of the game. And as you can see in this beginning, you're getting the basic story. Shang Tsung and Goro screwed up, they get taken back to Outworld, basically Khan is pissed off. Shang Tsung comes with an idea to win in a single stroke, and, it works out. But it's still not an easy thing to do. And of course, in the process, to make Earthrealm, capitulate to this insane new idea, they cause a lot of problems. And one of those is Liu Kang's brother is killed. So he's out for revenge. You have Sonya and Kano being captured. We have a new Shaolin monk named Kung Lao joining the fray. We've got some points that there's something going on with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. They're back. And there are many other characters. The cool thing about this is that we went from a roster of 7 characters to 12 characters. So we actually have an increase of 5 characters, so that's pretty cool. And as you can see, it's free play, so I can do as many continues as I want. Here's one of the first new characters. We have Baraka. He's a Tarkatan. This is Kitana. She is Shao Kahn's daughter, believe it or not. And of course, her sister Melina, the purple one. Oh, and there's Reptile. Reptile is now a playable character in this game. He was one of the hidden characters in the first game. And I don't know if you can see it when they jump up high. There's actually spikes in that ceiling of this particular stage. They really did a good job on this game. First of all, the story just keeps getting better with this game. What's happening, the sheer desperate nature of it and everything. Oh, here's something that's cool. I do wish I had an arcade perfect version of 1 to show you this, because they did the same thing with MK1. As you can see here, comic book 1 for 2. Even the soundtrack for 2. It's pretty cool. I do wish that was still active, but as you can see, it ended in February of 1995. So it was actually a pretty cool deal. And I got to be honest, I love the fact that this is as arcade perfect as you can get, and it just works like a charm. Once again, we're just doing this. I'm actually going to just let it do this so I can talk about the game. So anyways, story was great. Now, what about the actual gameplay? The real meat and potatoes of the game. First of all, the game is a little faster than the other one. It's a little bit more intense. The moveset is still the same system to where you had the shared moveset, but it's been, in all fairness, more refined. And as you can see here, there's been some real serious upgrades made to many of the gameplay mechanics and stuff. Basically, the gameplay just got a lot faster, a lot tougher, and actually did more damage. And I have to say they did a great job. I even love how this part right here opens up because it's so cool. And here's Melina. It was great. The move set for these characters also got extremely good. For example, Kitana has a move where her fan will spin and will jump you up in the air. Then she can jump kick you in a spin kick, and then can send a fan right into you. And Kano and Sonya, as you can see right here, Sonya is in the game. So it's not like they were out. In Jax's case, like you just saw there, he is desperate to get his teammate back. And Jax has a lot of ground type attacks. And look here, Shang Tsung. That's right. He's now a playable character. And they really gave this character some pretty good stuff. But you can tell, allows him to live. He's on borrowed time. Now, Shang Tsung alone for the gameplay mechanics is one of the better characters, in my opinion, in the game. And was one of the really fun characters. Because he can morph into any character he wants. And that's actually something that is just incredible for the game. I mean, one minute you're Shang Tsung, the next minute you're Scorpion, the next minute you're Kitana, Sub-Zero. You can morph in, and then after a certain time, morph back. And you can then morph again if you know the sequence. And He could do this to all 12 characters. The game just kept getting better, and the stages showed it as well. What about fatalities? You all know we got to talk about that. Well, turns out this game really went fatality heavy. I mean, every character now has 2 fatalities. And unlike the first game where, they were okay, this time they really went off the deep end. I mean, we're just talking, they really said, okay, let's kill as many people in the most brutal ways as we humanly can, and they did. Certain fatalities make a return with no problem. Johnny Cage still knocks a head off with an uppercut, but now we have much more violent means. For example, one of his fatalities, he literally rips the torso of his opponent off and throws it on the ground. I'm not kidding, he does it. Liu Kang turns into a dragon, sort of the first animality, and literally eats the top part of somebody's body off. So it gives you an idea on just how serious it is. What's another one? Kung Lao has one of my favorites in this game. He literally takes his hat and slices you from the top of your head down to your groin. So for both guys and girls, that's painful as hell. It's pretty painful, and so you get an immediate point of just how serious stuff is. Oh, and here is a stage I want to talk about real quick when it comes to secrets, because you might see them. This is the Living Forest, and it's a notorious stage because you will see some of the hidden fighters. We didn't get to see them. So, for example, Smoke and Jade are known to pop up in the backgrounds, which is pretty cool. And here we learn a little bit about the new Sub-Zero. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot that went into this game, and you can tell that they gave the game a nice overhaul in many areas. And this is still considered one of the best looks and versions of the games. And I kind of wish I had that costume, in all fairness, because it's just so cool. And they really went well. Let's see. What about the finishing of the fatalities? Well, we have 3 finishing stages this time. The pit, the Deadpool, sorry, is the only stage that has a shared move with everybody. You do the same sequence. They fly in, their bodies, and a skeleton floats to the surface. The combat stage has, it's this sort of tomb with the stuff flying in the background. That actually has spikes in the ceiling, and if you did something just right, the characters would fall down from the ceiling and hit the ground. It's really kind of cool. Then, of course, there's the pit 2, and we've seen that a couple of times in the footage. The pit 2 has a background pit, but when you knock the opponents off that pit, they go flying down and impact into the ground. And you see them with their blood and everything and all these. It's pretty cool. And it does. Oh, and this is actually doing what the arcades would do, is they would actually be very loud for a little bit, and then they would get quiet. This is actually a cool thing. I didn't even know this did that. That's pretty cool. And, they would hit and stuff. Now, what I loved is that they actually took and decided to make fun of the controversy of the fatalities as well. And how did they do that? Well, they created 2 new finishing moves. The first was called Friendships, which is a lot of very funny and insane designs and stuff, and it was just hilarious, and it was. Johnny Cage made an autograph and threw it to somebody, which was pretty cool. I think Liu Kang did some dancing, and I can't remember all the rest, but they were pretty cool. Then there were probably the most favorites, and also some of the most insane was, of course, believe it or not, and there's Kano in the background, was the Babalities. They're just hilarious to talk about because they were so fun. The game really had a good amount of not only moves, finishing moves, but it became a combo-making sensation. This was the game that really made the series even better, in my opinion, and it really did. They really were able to do a lot with very little. And he basically is one of the best damn games in that regard, and I love it. Here's the Deadpool, and as you can actually see the water in the background. I don't know if you can see it on screen, but it actually, the acid is slightly moving, which is a great little effect. I love the detail work they put in here, and it just shows. There was a lot of detail work that went in. What do I think of the game today? It's actually held up extremely well. I hate to say there are some versions that have not held up so well. When it originally came out, the Genesis version has by far the worst version imaginable. I'm sorry to say that, but it is the truth. It just did not hold up extremely well. I would show you it, but I don't feel like you would want to see just how bad the version was. The Game Boy and the Game Gear, however, did pretty damn good. And the Super may have been a little slower than the arcade game here, but it was dead on in terms of gameplay, freaking sound, and even a couple of the levels had a little bit of a variant to them that were exclusive to the Super. They were fantastic. Then, of course, some time later, the 32X got this game, and it was back to being practically arcade perfect, which was pretty cool. But, you know, buying a Sega Genesis, buying a 32X, and then buying a game which is probably like $40 plus how many hundreds and hundreds of dollars just did not appeal to a lot of people. But I can honestly say that Mortal Kombat 2 is one of the few games that does constantly get re-released. I mean, it does. This game gets re-released. Recently, I was watching a particular video, and I saw an advertisement for the 1-Up arcade cabinets that they sell. And believe it or not, Mortal Kombat is coming to those cabinets. I believe MK2 and 3 are loaded on the machine. I could be wrong. We could have MK1 and maybe another version of... I think it was Ultimate. But I know it's definitely one of the MK3s. It's probably Ultimate, which makes sense. It seems to be the one version everybody wants to play. And I will be showing off both Trilogy and 3 for the next video next week. But the fact that you can get them, and they are in an actual arcade cabinet, and you can go into when they're available, like, believe it or not, Walmart, and buy them, is actually a pretty cool thing. And see here, we have Kung Lao and stuff. There's a lot. You know, it's just great. And we're getting this right on the camera. I'm really recording the footage, and as you can see, it's just great. There's Kung Lao, Johnny Cage. They really gave a lot of the characters a serious overhaul, too. The graphics are better, the gameplay is better. The environments are also pretty damn, as you can tell here, are pretty damn impressive as well. I do think a couple are a little less in some little quality areas compared to the first game, but you know what? It's still a vast improvement over the first game in so many areas, it's not even funny. This game, except for the Sega Genesis version, is going to get an 8 out of 10. It earns it. The Genesis version, I'm sorry, has to get at least a 7. It's still playable. It's still kind of fun, but it has massive issues. I could only do fatalities on one side of the screen. The blood is almost non-existent. It is literally that bad. And I'm afraid a lot of people have even said that. And yeah, it feels pretty bad. The game has been re-released several times. In fact, I have a high-definition version of the game on my, believe it or not, my PlayStation 3, which has both Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and Ultimate, which was an arcade pack that came out at the same time. They did Mortal Kombat 9, which will be one of the games, by the way, featured in the reviews. I have to really decide what's going to get reviewed and what's not, and you know, you just put up with it. But this was the game I had to make sure wound up on this list. It's considered still by many to be the most fun, insane. Even the Game Boy version, which has no blood because of, you know, certain issues, was amazing, beautiful, well done. It even had a stage fatality. So yeah, they did their job well. I even have, believe it or not, a Midway Arcades treasure on my PSP, believe it or not, and it has 1, 2, and 3. Great games to own. I highly recommend this one. I mean, look at the detail. It's just incredible, the amount of stuff you can do. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you for MK3 next week.